Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tanner Invest here. Appreciate you watching here. I know it's Sunday night. I just recorded this entire video and I didn't share my screen, so I'm gonna have to do this all over again, but that's okay. Take one. This will be better. So, if you guys don't mind, well, first off, I had a video that I released already on BMNR, which is going to be kind of a follow-up video. This is going to be a follow-up video on that video. And that was my highest viewed video. I've only been doing YouTube for like 2 weeks, but I already hit over 1,000 views on that video. So thanks so much for watching that. And if you enjoyed this, please give me some feedback, give me a like if you don't mind, and also follow me on Twitter. So I'm gonna jump in, guys. My name is Tanner Invest, and here we go. So I'm gonna share my screen because last time I didn't, and this time we will. So I wanted to show you this first because when we're talking about Ethereum treasuries, we need to realize like why they're copying the playbook from MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy is the largest Bitcoin treasury in existence. By far, they have over 600,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. They have a $70 billion NAV, which is net asset value. They have a 1.85 multiple on their NAV. Which is basically the multiple based on their market cap in comparison to how much Bitcoin they're actually holding. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you guys this is because the Ethereum treasuries aren't as transparent yet, while Strategy has a literal web page with the homepage showing their stats, right? And so it's a little hard to fully dive into Ethereum treasuries at this moment because there's a lot of confusion going on. Like, what's the net asset value on this? What's the net asset value on that? Well, when they had this at the money issuance, what happened to the dilution that went into the market cap? And so all these things affect each other. And so right now, no one really knows except a small amount of people, I feel like. So hopefully you guys can learn something, or at least have the tools to do your own research moving forward. So before we get further in, I just want to say I currently do not have a position at all in any of the Ethereum treasuries. I have been putting a lot of money into just Ethereum in general because I do believe in the bull case. And in my last video, I showed the video with Tom Lee speaking about Ethereum, and so I am very bullish on Ethereum in general. I just think right now with the ebb and flow of stuff like this, where you're getting these huge spikes, huge crashes. Same with SBET. We all know SharpLink Gaming. What happened there, where we have a huge pump and dump, and then we have Ethereum, which this is why I'm in Ethereum, guys, because it's gone up 53% in the month, and it's not as volatile as you can kind of tell here. So I'm also going to share some acronyms before we get in. So let's hop into this little sheet here that I created. Just so you guys know some of the acronyms that get thrown around in the space. Let's start with DAT. This one is Digital Asset Treasury. So you're gonna see in tweets DAT. That acronym just is talking basically about Bitmine or BitDigital or BTCS or SharpLink at this moment. Now you're gonna see the word pipe. This is a private investment in public equity. So what a pipe is if you guys recall, whenever Tom Lee announced his Ethereum treasury, they said they raised $250 million in private. And so they have that investment round prior to them actually issuing their own shares. Yeah, that is the pipe. Okay, so they had a $250 million pipe, and since then they've been doing ATMs, which is at the money issuance. And so this is where you're seeing these big headlines where they're $2 billion ATM offering for Bitmine, and then SharpLink just raised $5 billion in a at the market sales agreement with Alliance Global Partners. So you might be asking, what is an ATM? So an ATM is whenever the stock, at any point in time, a company can issue shares, right? So ideally, when your stock's higher, you want to issue shares when it's the highest, because when you issue that share, so in this case, let's see Bitmine, if they issued it here at 136 and they issued $2 billion worth of shares, they actually don't have to issue as many shares because the share price is higher than if it were, you know, down here in the $40 range, for example. So they have been issuing a few times now. They've had a couple ATMs. I don't think the $2 billion offering was at the top, actually. I do believe it was actually posted on like July 10th. So that's like around the $50 range. They did have an ATM though of I believe 250 million or 500 million, one of the two, when it was a little bit higher. But that's the point, guys, is like these Ethereum treasuries or Bitcoin treasuries, what they're trying to do is have the most amount of their asset per share. So ultimately, they're going to raise capital when prices are high, and then they're going to try to acquire Ethereum or Bitcoin, typically whenever it's volatile. So when it's low and the I guess lower stages like Bitcoin is a little easier right now. And now with Ethereum, I know I might have confused you just now, but I'm trying not to. With Ethereum, they're in a race right now because they all think Ethereum's value is way undervalued. And so they're just trying to gobble up as much as they can before the price of Ethereum raises too high. So let's go back to the Ethereum chart. So, you know, in the last month, we're up 53.84%, and we're up 135% in the past 3 months. So they are all bullish on Ethereum. They think that this is going to hit 5,000 by end of year. I've seen videos of Tom Lee where he's comparing the multiple based on the Circle IPO that happened, because there is some relation to the layer 1 network of Ethereum and stablecoins. So he's saying, you know, hey, if Circle is trading at these insanely high prices, right? Which, sorry about the little delay here, but you know, the 3-month chart on Circle, it's gone up 618 or 614.84% since it IPO'd on June 5th. It's been one of the most successful IPOs of the year for sure, and of the past few years. So their argument is, hey, if they're getting a multiple, so should Ethereum potentially. So, you know, they've thrown out prices at $10,000, $15,000 price targets, where they do see in the long term, because of the increased activity on chains with things like, obviously we talk about stable coins, but you have asset tokenization, like with what Robinhood's doing and making private equities investable. There's also going to be tokenization of real estate and art and all these other things as well. But then you also got to remember smart contracts. I believe I'm pretty bullish on smart contracts, because what that can do is it can basically prove that AI, if something's real or if it's fake. Because if you have a smart contract on a video from the White House that they released, and you can follow that exact token to say, yes, this is the video the White House released, then it will be able to push out all the fake shit, basically, which I think in the future is going to be a big problem, because things are going to get so good with AI, you're not going to be able to tell really what's fake or what's not fake, right? So let's go back to the acronyms real quick. There's a couple more. We have NAV, which we talked about in our last video, which is just net asset value, which typically is what's the amount of Ethereum that I hold on my balance sheet, and then the multiple on the net asset value is the MNAV, so multiple of net asset value. And then we have ETH Ethereum. So obviously we all know that one. Now, net asset value is like some of the most important right now, because it's showing how expensive is the company in relation to how much they're holding in Ethereum, right? So you're gonna that's the easiest way to compare one treasury to another treasury, because it's like, okay, if this one's trading at a 1.5 NAV and this one's trading at a 2.5 NAV, we can tell you that this one's cheaper than this one. Now, there's a couple more things that go into play, right? A lot of people are calling, you know, Tom Lee, which we all know Tom Lee. He's a great marketer. He's on CNBC. He's a contributor that's on all the time. He's constantly on videos posting, you know, talking about Ethereum. And then you have guys like Joseph Lubin, who literally was one of the co-founders of Ethereum, who is the chairman of SharpLink Gaming. So these two guys trade, you know, somewhat of a premium compared to the other treasuries, just because of the awareness and the marketing that they can bring to those projects. And so let's go ahead and show you just a couple more things, guys, because I want you to be as educated as possible. I really don't want to go down the rabbit hole of Ethereum treasuries. Like I said, I'm not even invested in them, so but they are getting me a lot of views on my videos, so I'm appreciative of that. But I do want to show you some great Twitter things to follow. There's this guy named Risk on Bobby. I don't know if he plans on doing these sheets very often, but he has been posting these spreadsheets where they're comparing the different Ethereum treasuries, their current MNAV, and then their fully deployed MNAV. And so there are some caveats to this. So you got to remember that he is making some estimations because we don't actually know when they came out with the ATM offerings. Because to be honest, BitMine hasn't been very transparent. So for example, let's go to BitMine's website, which I wanted to show you this as well. If you ever want to go pull up, you can go to any publicly traded company's website, go to their investor relations page. Usually you got to scroll down to see, their different SEC filings. You can see their 8K here. You can download it. You can see exactly what they're sharing with the SEC. So let's go to the press release here. And all they say is the company's current total of approximately 1 billion of ETH exceeds the initial 250 million PIPE, which is that private investment of a public entity, and that proceeds by over 300%. They do not tell you, though, when they issued those shares, how many shares they issued, none of that. So they just said, at BitMine, we have surpassed 1 billion just 7 days after the PIPE. We are well on our way to achieving a goal of acquiring and staking 5% of the overall ETH supply, which that's interesting too, because SharpLink is they're staking, I believe, 97% or something of their entire supply. And I might be a little bit wrong there, but I know they're staking a ton. But the point is, guys, is right here, it's showing it's representing 60,000 ETH is representing $200 million notional value of Ethereum. They're not really giving that at the money raises. So that's what Ricky is trying to do here by saying, okay, this is the amount of ETH we know they have. This is the price of the NAV that we know they have currently. This is the amount of money we know they have because they've raised this amount and they've explained that they've raised this amount. This is the amount of ETH that they can purchase with that amount of money based on today's pricing of 3,551, which this was on Friday, guys. So it's actually went up a little bit over the weekend because crypto can be traded 24/7. So this incremental share dilution of 30 million shares would then be added to the current pro forma fully diluted shares of 81 million for a total of 111 million. Am I getting that right? Yeah, 111 million. So that is where he then projects the net asset value and then projects the multiple of the net asset value. Now, as you can see, based on these calculations, the most expensive right now is BMNR, and the cheapest, now this is tough because they just had that $3 billion in issuance, so it's not fully accurate, guys, but that's showing that SBET actually is the cheapest at a estimated fully deployed multiple net asset value, guys. So these numbers, though, are going to change because, remember, guys, they are in a race. They all think Ethereum's going to go up, so they're trying to buy as much as they can now before Ethereum goes up. And that's why, this is not investment advice at all. I know I got to say that every video, but I personally, I'm not the most risky trader, guys. I do great for myself, and I hope to eventually share my portfolio with you all. But at the moment, you can see I don't have a ton in ETH in this portfolio, but I'm in ETH with $8,800 in this portfolio here. I do have a Coinbase account and a couple others as well, but this is my Robinhood tradings here. So that's about it, guys. I think there's not much more I was going to get to. Oh, I did want to share you this because, at the beginning of the video, I talked about how MicroStrategy does show their stats. SharpLink has actually been a leader for the Ethereum treasuries to show their purchases. So we have SharpLink Gaming. This was a tweet where they showed the type of investment, the date, the amount of shares. This is the main part, the amount of shares sold and the amount of money raised from selling those shares, because that can tell you exactly when they made that ATM issuance. Then the amount of Ethereum they acquired, and the price of Ethereum at that moment, and then the total ETH holdings. This is what I hope all of these companies do. I think it should be a requirement, quite frank, because to me it's a little, I don't love it. Another thing as well is, like, you can see here on their BitMine's SEC filings, you can see right here this Form 4 where it shows Tom Lee actually purchased even more shares, 222,222 shares. Now, guys, keep in mind, this isn't a ton compared to what he already had. So he did put in some more of his own money, though. That is it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching today. And please don't forget to leave a like, follow me on X, and appreciate you watching. See ya.